gonna be in all my videos now? Okay. I have to say, y'all, I hope it's not too dark, but I love filming when the kids are asleep. It's a lot easier. However, today's video is about what to do with those kids when they are awake and you maybe want them to have some kind of self-sufficient activity. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Vibrant Life Show here in the Cloud Dojo. I'm Corey and this is your spot for inspiration on living a healthy, happy, and vibrant life. So today I am sharing indoor activities for bored, rambunctious little kids. I have a really rambunctious 4-year-old and she just loves to do physical, active things. She would probably totally thrive in a little tribe of other kids her age that were just outside all the time, climbing trees and getting dirty. But we don't have that. She can't do that all the time. So how do I help kind of give her a good environment at home when maybe she's bored, maybe I've got things to do? So I'm gonna go through each activity in order from most messy to least messy. So if you're like, I don't know if my kid could do that indoors, then you can wait for some of the ideas later on in the video. But I will say, if you put down a tarp and you just keep them in their underwear while they're doing these activities, you should be okay. So my first activity is air dry clay. So this is stuff that's gooey and sticky and messy, and it's just so fun for them to squish and play with. Give them lots of tools to play with the clay. Nothing that's considered a toy works for my kid. She likes stuff from the kitchen and stuff from outside and sticks and pine cones to press and see what kind of shape that makes, and rocks to squish things with and carve with, spoons and just things like that. Typically kids are taught this stuff by other kids, and if they're not, for whatever reason, if your child hasn't been around enough kids to teach them how to play pretend and really get into these types of activities, they're gonna feel bored with them at first. So you may actually have to be the one to get down and role model and be like, let's make a mud kitchen, and get little trays so they can make their patties and put them on the trays and serve them. And then you kind of gradually say, okay, you keep playing, I've got stuff to do, but I'm gonna come back and check on these mud pies later. Air dry clay is so fun because also they can make little balls or little things and let them dry overnight. And then it's a whole new activity because then they've got these dry things that they can pound and break and destroy and have a lot of fun with. And I have another video, which I will link below, of how to set your kids up to have independent playtime while you rest or do your own thing for a while. So I'll link that below. So another messy one is finger paints and all the tools that go with them. So finger paints are so fun. You really just get to get their hands gooey. I give them a big pad of paper, and I like to just do even sometimes just one color at first, because the thing about painting for little kids is it's actually about storytelling and exploring ideas and concepts that are inside of them. So I would challenge you, if you've not tried this before, don't focus at all with your kids on the outcome of the art project. Just focus, again, sit with them and model this. Model painting a story. So for example, you might just get a bunch of that red paint on the paper and then just move your fingers around in it and just be like, look, I made a bumblebee, and look, here's his friend the butterfly, and then comes a dragon. They didn't know there was a dragon around, but oh, here he is, he's breathing fire and they're scared. But then a unicorn comes and says, don't worry, that dragon's actually friendly. You just need to give it a snack. And you just make up these stories as you're moving your fingers around and creating these characters in the scene. I've noticed with all the preschoolers and the toddlers that I've worked with, even actually kindergarten and first grade, this is a lot of how they start out. They just really like to not think about the end product, but think about and feel into the process. And finger paints are not just for fingers anymore. You can get out paint brushes, you can get out all those other tools. Pine branches with all the little pine needles are so fun to move around in there. Various things from nature and your kitchen. I'm telling you, those are the tools that kids really enjoy. And then of course, to make it more educational, Start with like one of the primary colors, get that story feeling going, and then add in another primary color, right? And then they get to see how those interact and what happens when you put those together, and then add in that third primary color. And I would just keep it like that and just let them always be the ones to make their other colors and get creative that way. All right, my next activity is a break it bin. So it's full of stuff that is okay to break and rip up, like old crayons or magazines that's okay for them to rip, or bark, you know, especially that bark with the layers that peel off, twigs and sticks, thick plant material, just anything that they can just rip apart, something that's hard to rip, but that they can do it, and just encourage them, be like, this is the bin for destruction and tearing everything apart and seeing how small you can get it. And then eventually it kind of turns into their own sensory bin because they've gotten the things small. You can add in tools. They can kind of play with all the little pieces with their tools and little toys. And so it's actually a lot more entertaining for those young kids than it sounds. Next up is the cut and glue bin. So get your kid some little kid scissors, glue stick, and scrap paper. Maybe add some like easy to glue nature bits like dried leaves, grass, or little bits of mica are fun. And also googly eyes and sequins are fun additions, and just let them go to town. I like to give them a piece of cardboard because once they're done cutting and making all those little pieces, then they can glue the pieces and the nature bits and all your little, you know, googly eyes or whatever onto the cardboard and make their own fun creations. All right, the next activity is kinetic sand. I like it because it sticks together so it's not as messy as regular sand, and my 4-year-old actually plays with this inside in a bin. You can put a tarp down if you need to, but you know, she's not wanting to lose her kinetic sand. She loves that stuff, and I've explained it's a limited resource. So, you know, putting in like sandcastle toys and scoops and little beads and things to find, you know, little treasures to find in the sand. And again, teach them how to excavate, how to imagine a pine cone is dinosaur bones and a spoon is an excavator, or whatever you have. Next on the list is Play-Doh. So same concept as kinetic sand, although I do have more things that you can use to like cut the Play-Doh, shape it into different things. It kind of holds shape in a different way. So Play-Doh is another one. It's a fun thing that if you have energy someday, you can make it easily with your kids at home. I just Google best Play-Doh recipe and I always find a good one. And you can add different colors. You can add, with food dye, you can add different scents, and they can, of course, kids love to make pretend treats. So I would definitely encourage that as well, and get them little trays and things that they can make their treats and serve them on. And so that's just a really fun one that the kids love. And also this is a fun thing where you can add in a little glitter and it's not going to get everywhere. So if you are one of those parents that's like, no glitter in my household, you can put a little glitter in Play-Doh and it makes it a sparkly fun thing for the kids. And then you just got your old-fashioned sensory bins. So it's the same deal, a lot like the kinetic sand. I use the same types of toys and scoops and little treasures hidden within there, and even like ramps for sliding things down. And I just fill that up with dried rice or dried beans or lentils, or a mixture of both, and just let them go to town on it. Again, teach them how to be really imaginative and playful in that sensory bin. Next up on this list is this mess-free clay. It's like a foam type of clay, so it's really not messy at all, and it does air dry as well. So your kids can just shape that into all sorts of shapes and animals and treats and whatever they want to pretend they are. And the cool thing is they do dry, so they can kind of play with them as little figurines when they're dry. It's kind of breakable, but the cool thing is when your animal or your mermaid tail or whatever you have does break off, you can actually just use a little of that clay to make it back whole again. And I will link below the clay that I bought for this. Next up on the list is slime. So on Instagram this week, I'm actually going to be sharing a quick at-home easy slime recipe. Kids love it. Yeah, so just getting out the slime, and of course, kind of like with Play-Doh, it's similar in texture, so give them those tools where they can shape it and cut it and have all sorts of fun with their slime bin. And you can have a couple different colors of slime for them to mix and match and play around with. The next thing, I like to call it the doohickey box. So these are just fiddling things kids love to kind of tinker with. Velcro, buttons, and like, you know, those felting needles that they're not pokey, that kids can kind of stick through the buttons, jars with lids, keys and their locks, zippers, nuts and bolts, and like a wrench, and then screws and screwdrivers, like on a board, you know, where they can take the screwdriver and practice screwing and unscrewing. So just kind of a good tinkering mess around kit. And of course you can throw a couple little toys or action figures in there as well. They can get creative, get imaginative, and a lot of kids really love these kind of tinker doohickey boxes. So last on my list is those mess-free paint kits. You can find them pretty much at any toy store, and I will also link it below so you know what I'm talking about. But this is just a really simple thing for when you don't feel like setting anything up, you don't feel like cleaning up any mess, but your kid is feeling like they want to do something really hands-on and tactile. So I really hope that these sensory, tactile, physical activities help ground your rambunctious kids and give them something to do when they feel bored and they need to just get active and tinker with something and they don't have a tribe of wild children to go play with. If you can think of any other activities that are sensory like that I may have left out, please leave it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your ideas. And of course, I would be so honored if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel to help the community grow and so that you don't miss any future videos. Thank you all so much for watching. Here is wishing you a healthy, happy, and vibrant week ahead, and I'll catch you next time in the Cloud Dojo. Bye.